I believe the way we're burying our dead is not only a reflection of how disconnected we are from this earth, but also a cause of that disconnect. As humans living collectively on this planet, we're detached from the earth in a way we have never been before. We've begun to behave as though we are separate from her, that we live on this earth rather than in this earth. We're woven in. We coexist like birds in the sky and fish in the sea, but for a lot of folks, I don't think that feels real. Through many decisions, we have created barriers separating ourselves from nature. We do some strange things as people. In a lot of ways, we have overgiven. All this crap we create that sticks around to harm the earth for hundreds and hundreds of years to come. And in another way, we have perhaps undergiven. That's what I want to talk about today. These natural cycles and rhythms on this balanced earth that we're so lucky to call home. There's an intelligence pulsing that we do not fully understand. But trust in these cycles we must. Day turning to night, winter turning to spring, birth turning to death, and death creating new life. These cycles make sense. They serve a purpose. Remember the story of the wolves being reintroduced in Yellowstone National Park and how they changed the entire ecosystem? I think most people have heard it, but in short, the wolves had been killed off, and so when they reintroduced them, the rivers came back. The deer were roaming too freely with no wolves. They were eating up new budding forests and all of the shoreline vegetation that was essential for the health of the river. So when the wolves came back, the deer population was kept in check, new forests could grow, and birds returned, otters, beavers, everything balanced out really quickly. It was this wonderful reminder of how interconnected everything is. Everything is playing a part, creating balance and harmony. As humans, we are not removed from these cycles, and we are screwing up some of our basic roles that we're meant to play for the health of our planet. The way we're burying most people in my country is weird. It's unnatural, and it's creating a huge imbalance. I'm talking about the typical pump the body full of formaldehyde, put it in a sealed box, casket-style burial. It's unnecessarily expensive, and it creates a lot of waste. I am by far not the first person to talk about this. Green burial is not a new idea. But I'm human, and I do plan on dying someday, so I have some thoughts. The relationship that we have with how we bury our dead is broken. Most of the talks and articles I've seen focus on the obvious harmful effects of a casket-style burial. The waste of wood and metal and concrete, and the poisonous chemicals that are pumped in the body so that we don't have to see what death looks like. These are all important points. It's all bad for the planet. And some of the ideas I've seen to move away from this harmful practice are great. Above ground burial is my personal favorite. And then there's the intelligently laid out concept of recomposing. Katrina Spade, you are brilliant. Her idea in a nutshell is this. Some farmers do this thing called livestock mortality composting, where they turn cows into dirt. And the human version is the same result. We turn into dirt. What I dig about this idea is that it's not creating waste. It's creating something useful. And we're on the right track. People need to turn back into dirt. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Whether a body is buried above ground, or an expedited decomposition process occurs, or there's space and time for the body to be laid in the soil and naturally decay and integrate back into the land, we become dirt. We become an even deeper, more connected part of the soil and the earth. We feed the soil with our rotting bodies. Yeah, I am talking about worms munching on my eyeballs, and I am good with this. It's what nature intended. We get to feed the soil, creating nutrient-dense earth filled with carbon and nitrogen, ammonia, all kinds of goodness that I'm no longer using. It's the least I can do as my final offering to this generous planet, this living, breathing planet. She needs to be nourished too. Take my body. Use me. Let me be integrated back into the cycle of life. Now I realize there are some holes in my concept. There are reasons we began sealing coffins in the first place. To protect groundwater, to stop the spread of diseases. There are heavy metals and toxins that exist in the body that are not good to recycle. Mushroom Suit Lady, J. Rim Lee, I am talking to you. I am ready for my fungus pajamas. These obstacles, they need answers. We gotta find some answers before we start burying Grandma in the backyard again. I think there's a lot of different ways we could do it. Perhaps graveyards in the future will look different. They'll be like temporary burial sites that after X amount of years become nutrient-dense farmland. So children of the future will be eating apples that derive the nutrients from the body of their great-great-grandfather. And that might be a really good thing. Let me tell you why. We are connected with what we recognize on a level so deep, I don't think it can be fully explained. But it's true. What if? What if we feel separate from this earth because we are? What if we've put ourselves on the surface only and we tiptoe around with our well-protected feet and we don't truly go back to her when we die, but rather remain separate in our perfectly sealed boxes? So when we breathe in the clean air that the trees and the plants around us create, this oxygen we're taking in feels foreign because it is. There is no human element in it. The soil that fed these plants and trees didn't derive its nutrients from the body of a man or a woman. So the air that they're producing isn't in a form that's natural or recognizable to us. Here's where I begin to talk about energy. And despite the dress and the dreads and the lack of a bra, I am not referring to energy as some airy-fairy hippy-dippy magic dust. I'm referring to energy with the scientific definition. Energy, the capacity or the power to do work, such as the capacity to move an object of a given mass by the application of force. Energy can exist in a variety of forms. Electrical, mechanical, chemical, thermal, nuclear, and it can be transformed from one form to another. That last part's worth repeating. Energy can be transformed from one form to another. So when a human body goes into the soil and the decomposition process is allowed to naturally occur, and things get squishy and nasty, the energy of this person's body begins to feed the soil and all the critters around and inside of it. And so the nutrients created in the soil, created by the body, are perfect to feed the plant life above. This energy has been transformed from human to soil to plants and flowers. It's cycling naturally because energy cannot be destroyed. It is transformed from one form to another. The energy moves. And when humans smell these flowers and taste these plants and touch this kind of soil and breathe this type of air, it's gonna feel familiar to us. It's gonna feel natural because it's human energy and we're connected to it. Right now, many of us are living in a broken cycle. Birth, life, death. It's linear. We're born and then we live and we die. But that death has the ability to bring about new life. It serves a purpose. It completes this cycle. And as a people, this is an essential link for us to feel whole. This break is not only creating a physical disconnect, but also an emotional and a psychological disconnect. When we can see the beauty in our mother becoming the earth becomes our mother. These cycles and rhythms that exist around and inside of us are meant to be whole and uninterrupted. If we could give this natural process the time and space to play out the whole cycle, birth, life, death, rebirth, we will feel bound intimately to this land. The hope is that if we feel one with the earth, if we are one with the earth, we'll treat her differently, better. The health of any living thing, any living place, is rooted in balance. Like the balance we talked about earlier at Yellowstone. There was a missing piece to the puzzle. And when they found the missing puzzle piece, the wolves, and reintroduced them, the land found balance, health. We are intricately woven into the health of this living, breathing planet too. We need to reintroduce ourselves into the cycles and let the healing begin. Thank you. Don't bury yourself in a box.